We're Batman at 89. Greetings, citizens of Japan, and welcome to Bat Minute Ninja. Although we're not going to review it minute by minute because that would be stupid and insane. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
I am the other host, Niall McGowan.
And I am Caffine Jedi.
Hey, hello. Thanks for joining us once again.
No worries. I had to, you guys told me to watch this movie, so that's, I suppose, payment enough just for the experience.
we told you to. And listeners, if you haven't seen this, this is going to be full of spoilers because, as you may have guessed from the name, we are doing this special hiatus episode looking at Batman Ninja, the new animated, I want to call it an anime, but it's Japanese and American, isn't it? All at once.
It's like everything. A strange cell shading, too. It's not quite hand-drawn. It's not quite computer animated. It's like this strange hybrid. And it switches animation styles a few times.
That threw me. We'll get to that. If you haven't seen it yet, full of spoilers. So that might be a good thing or a bad thing. You might not want to watch it, so you can listen to the podcast. That's fine. I recommend you watch it because this movie is insane.
Yes. And I should mention that we're concentrating on the English dub rather than the original Japanese version. Mostly because we just know the actors a little bit better in the English dub. One in particular who I was like, oh, when I found out he was in it, I was like, oh, I have to hear what the hell he's doing. So
yeah, I think that's what it was for me because normally I am against dubs. I'll be honest. I'm one of those jerks. Oh, the dub. Oh, you've not seen the movie. No.
Okay.
I'm all about the subs.
Can we just start by saying that I wouldn't say that the voice acting was bad, but the actual dub process was just atrocious.
Yeah.
It was like, I have seen some bad lip syncing in my day, but holy damn. It was pop singer level. It was like, I wanted to know who was in charge of that so that I know never to work with this person ever. Because it was just... Like, how did they let that just go? Like, they're like, yeah, it. That's good enough.
It's intriguing because none of the voices matched. And I know, okay, it was done in Japanese originally, but usually they make an effort to kind of get it sort of right, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, look, I watched one of my favorite animes from, back in the day is, Tenchi Muyo, Toonami Tenchi Muyo, which is from, 1996 or something. And so that's got to be, more than 20 years ago. God, that's how old it is. Oh, God.
Oh, that's upsetting for all of us.
Exactly. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. All right, so more than 20 years ago. And the dub still holds up, in terms of, the voice acting is decent and the lip syncing matches. And I'm like, within 20 years, they have not managed to improve this. Now, apparently, we discussed a little before we started, there's different scripts, so they changed the story a bit. So there's kind of no excuse for it to be this bad. I'm like, well, if you're going to change it anyway, why not just, make something that fits?
Yeah. That would make sense. Maybe they just genuinely couldn't be bothered.
But we probably should mention, that's the reason you're going to hear Stephanie as well. Because I think, I know I've seen a little bit of Japanese animation. I've seen a few Studio Ghibli and I've, watched Cowboy Bebop and stuff. But not only have you a bit more well-versed in anime to some, a certain extent, but you also lived in Japan for a while.
Yeah, that's right. Back in the day.
You can attest to the realistic tone.
Oh, God.
The incredible accuracy of the film.
It's I would love to know what Japanese people thought of it because I think they would be like, what the hell is this? This is also weird.
That was a question I was going to have. I know the Japanese had a hand in helping them with this film. But there were some things in it that made me think they might be a little bit kind of offended almost by some of the things.
Oh no,
in
I thought because I thought it was backwards. I thought it was more like the animator and the lead writers were Japanese, and it was an American property. At least that was my thought at first, or what I looked up. It seemed to be more Japanese people in the crew and stuff. when I was looking at the credits. And so, like, I don't know if anyone knows this about me, but on my YouTube channel, I make like a huge rant about cultural appropriation and how much I hate the concept and I think it's the worst thing ever. Because, you know, I believe in sharing all cultures. But I honestly believed, you know, the idea of cultural appropriation, if you take it to like its like true, most negative conclusion, is how like they kind of take something from someone else's culture with no understanding of it and just like completely bastardize it. And I was like, dude, I always say I don't like cultural appropriation, but I swear that they culturally appropriated Batman because like I couldn't understand. Like I'm like, what the hell version of Batman is this? Is this what Japan has taken from what we have and this is their interpretation of it? Because I was like, mind blown.
I love that approach, though. It really is like, it kind of doesn't appeal to either party. It's kind of like, it's a bit Japanese, it's a bit American. I'm sure nobody's really happy with it. But at the same time, that's why I really enjoyed watching it.
Some people really loved it. Like, yeah, I guess it does. Okay, admittedly, if you like anything random, and I would say it's like a drinking game, get high with your friends type movie.
Yes.
This is not for sober people. Like sober pregnant ladies like myself cannot truly enjoy this masterful work like they can because okay, I went into it thinking it was going to be a very straightforward story. I was like, all right, the voice acting's a little off, but he's going to get thrown back in time, Bruce Wayne, and it'll all be well. You know, this is going to be the story. But no, it is not that at all.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, I guess like, you know, we could try to like stumble through the plot line of the film here because there's certain sequences that are just like this needs to be talked,
quote unquote.
Well, can I start with one thing, right? When when we saw the first images of this, we decided instantly that we were going to review it. Yeah. So I didn't look at the trailers or anything. Now, my understanding of the movie was something completely different to what it was. I thought this was Batman in feudal Japan. Like, not he's gone back through time. This is, if Batman was in feudal Japan, this is, you know, what it would be like.
You thought it would be like a kind of Gotham by gaslight kind of thing. Like,
yes.
Theoretically, what it would be like if Batman just happened to exist then.
Exactly. That's what I thought it would be.
No, it's funny you said that because I did watch the trailer. And the trailer, from what I saw, was like, oh, and he goes back in time, and now they're in, you know, an alternate universe where the Joker's taken over, and there's all the Batvilles, which to me still sounded kind of cool. I was like, oh, all right, awesome. Like, you know, I'm kind of okay, I'll admit there's one thing I loved. I thought the designs were great. Like the characters.
The Joker especially he blew my mind completely.
But yeah, they're talking about like the actual, you know, the beginning of the film just jumps in straight away. Because you're in Arkham Asylum, and then you're introduced to the fact that, you know, I don't think was featured in the trailers, but like Gorilla Grodd is like essentially kind of one of your main villains, and then that almost sets the tone straight away of like, yes, Gorilla Grodd is the villain.
Right, that again, that blew my mind straight away. I
also had no idea. I thought Gorilla Grodd also, like, I didn't know he was even in it. I was like, oh, I get it, the Penguin. I was missing the Riddler, actually. I was like, God, it would have been cool to see him in there. You know, one of the, and they have you know, Catwoman, you know, shows up right in the beginning. She's kind of narrating it. What's her name? I think it's Tara Strong. Is she the voice of Catwoman?
The voice of Catwoman is Grey DeLisle or Grey DeLisle. I'm not too sure how to pronounce it, but
I was wondering because it sounded to me like Tara Strong, so that's why I thought it was her.
Oh, but Tara Strong is she is in it, but Grey DeLisle. I'm sorry, Matt. You know, I'm gonna massacre some Japanese names throughout this thing. I'm already stumbling with this.
You know, you've got Stephanie here, and I've studied Japanese, so I'm sure we can help you out.
We'll make it through.
Yeah, but yeah, she if you've played the Arkham games, you would instantly recognize like, oh yeah, that's the voice of Catwoman from
from the games, huh?
Oh yeah, she does. You might actually also recognize her as well, Stephanie, because she was. I know you're a big fan of Samurai Jack, and she was the voice of the High Priestess in the last season.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I was getting her and Ashi confused, who was Tara Strong, and I was like, I knew the voices sounded similar to me.
Yeah. But Tara Strong is in there. She's Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, which I think that this I actually had to look into this because Tara Strong is like for people who don't know, like she's like an absolute legend amongst voice acting now. Like she's been in hundreds and hundreds of things, and she was she was the voice of Timmy from Very Odd Parents. She's Bubbles in the Powerpuff Girls. She was Ben 10 from. And she was Ashi in the last season of Samurai Jack. She's Raven in Teen Titans. I think now she must have like.
Oh, I get it. The one who plays Catwoman, and I knew the voice was similar. Great. Delisle. She's the voice of Azula in Avatar: The Last Airbender. So that's why that voice was so like to me. Like I'm like, why do I know this voice so well?
But I think looking at Tara Strong now, because she is kind of the go-to Harley. Like if people, because Arlene Sorkin, who originated the character, she's sort of bowed out now. But I think it's gotten to the stage. I was kind of wondering like how Tara Strong feels about it, because I looked it up, and from what I can tell from IMDb, Arlene Sorkin played Harley in 14 different things, and Tara Strong's played her in 22 different things.
Whoa!
So it's at this point is she kind of a bit more like, it's my character now. Like it's like I know I'm just doing the voice that you started with, but like I'm Harley these days. Like, or is she more respectful and kind of like no, it's Arlene Sorkin's part, and
you have to acknowledge those who've come before you, but also make it your own. You can't live in the past, can you?
No, not everyone's going to remember the 90s TV series like we will.
Well, to be honest, right, this Gorilla Grodd thing, as the listeners will know, I am a fan of the movies first and foremost. I've read a few comics, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I'm a movie fan. So seeing a goddamn gorilla blew my mind. What the hell? In the first scene.
I know who Gorilla Grodd is because I think he more appeared in the Batman Superman TV show, like the cartoon. I saw him then when I was a kid, so I kind of knew that there was a gorilla character who had this kind of genius abilities.
Jesus.
But I remember like the first thing that got to me was like Catwoman, right? So you see Catwoman. And see, because I'm like a pregnant lady now, and like my let's just say my bosom is expanding in a very large way, and I see Catwoman, I'm like, this is totally a Japanese design Catwoman, because damn those boobies, like they gave her some like, I mean, Catwoman has always been sexy, I get that, but when I mean like the boobs they gave her is like, not humanly possible. I mean, it's a cartoon anyway, but I was
not
like,
just the boobs, but the I don't want to be too obscene, but the jiggle.
Oh yeah, her whole design.
It's even like whatever's going on with the zipper in the front of that catsuit, because it zipped down to reveal some cleavage, but then
I don't think she could zip it up. I don't think she could physically do it.
But there's also like an extra little space to show like her stomach. There's a little bit of like, no, it's open there as well. So it's like, well, you zip up a bit, then it's too tight in the stomach area, so it just has to go past, and then it's a little bit
pops open.
Yeah, where ribs are, they can kind of zip there, and then the rest of it's like, no, just physically cannot be zipped any tighter.
And she had another thing that's a very Japanese thing, the cat bell. Like she wore the collar that a cat wears in Japan, and I was like, that's not good for sneaking around, Catwoman. I don't know if you know anything about the cat bell, but it's a bell.
That's the thing. I loved it. Like as a concept, I was like, oh, it's great. And then when I thought about it for 2 seconds, I was like, but she's a cat burglar. That doesn't make any sense.
I will say this, and this is like we talked about the designs. This movie is like a cosplayer's dream. Because all the costumes of all the characters look great. I was like, these are epically good costumes. It would be great to like cosplay some of these things. I mean, it was going to cost you a fortune, and it's going to take you like a year to make these things. But
no, it's just that's the only thing that ever puts me off cosplay is the fact that like, oh, these people, it's a lot of money just to kind of stand and be like, yep, I'm in the exact clothing.
Yeah,
take a photo.
And you don't want to do the same thing twice. So it's like you get one use out of it at the Comic-Con, and then I need another one next time. So.
I mean, I love looking at the pictures and stuff, but it's a thing I could never do because I just don't have that level of expendable income to be like, I'm blowing thousands on tailor-made jackets and stuff just so I don't get the exact trim that, the Seventh Doctor had or something like that.
Well, if you want us to have that level of expendable income, then feel free to send us cash. Our Gmail is batminute89@gmail.com.
Okay, well, good luck with that. Well, let's attempt to go through the and we say this in the loosest terms, plot of this movie.
Yes.
The plot? Okay, so we said Gorilla Grodd was there. He's building some kind of time machine thing.
Yeah, and it's just right in the middle of it. Like, there's no build-up. It's just, oh, yeah, there's a thing happening. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that is a thing that, like, you know, if you are unfamiliar with the fact that, like, oh, Gorilla Grodd was, like, an old villain from, like, The Flash originally, and he kind of built up, but there's no explanation as to why there's a talking gorilla here. It's just like, yeah, that's... Wait, you want a handwritten for an explanation of everything? You just get into the movie. It's only got an hour and a half here.
I did appreciate that, because I did quickly just go, oh, okay, then fine.
No, they did just kind of start, and then Catwoman's like shows up, and it does this thing where like that's why I'm confused why they changed the script from the Japanese version, because it does a lot of the Japanese way of movies, which is like where they over explain, like it's exposition crazy. It's just like exposition insane, and then like Catwoman. What are you doing here? I heard Gorilla Grodd was doing something time machine based, and I come to steal this item. Okay, then. I was like,
too much.
Okay, thanks, Catwoman. That's the conversation we're just gonna have right now. Okay, so like we literally have spent like we've spent 5 minutes trying to describe the first 5 minutes of this movie.
But I mean, even that though, like the exposition gets like. You know, up front, like the portrayal of Batman in this, like him as a character, he comes across as a bit of an idiot a lot of the time, quite frankly, and a lot of it is because he has to do exposition dumps that are so obvious, like because when he gets back to, it's a really cool shot, like they do this kind of weird Inception building warping thing of Arkham Asylum, and then Batman is just standing in the street. That's a very like, oh, it's a good shot, and then a piece of paper comes, and he's just sort of he lifts it up, and he's just like, this is in Japanese. And that looks like me. And it's like, yeah, we can see that. Jesus, dude.
Yeah, you don't need to explain.
Oh, God. Yeah, no. So the next point of plot, quote unquote, is that he ends up in feudal Japan. And for some reason, all the others were there for 2 years and not him.
Yeah.
He did not.
He gets, during the fight or something, he gets like slightly delayed. So apparently, like a couple of seconds delay in the present means that he's 2 years after everyone else.
Well, this is my other question, right? I loved this. I thought it was a crazy movie, insane, loved it. But if you're going to pick at it and make complaints, how did so many people come back with him? It's too many.
I am also confused by this. Was it Gorilla Grodd?
I think it's because it was in Arkham Asylum. So it's whoever was in the building came back.
Yeah, but that doesn't make a good film. Like, it should be like Gorilla Grodd, Joker, Harley. Like, that makes more sense to me than, and here's 20 other people.
Oh, yeah, and also was like all of Batman's crew, too. Like, they were all Alfred.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are you doing there, Alfred?
And all of his equipment, we're about to find out. He's got the bloody Batmobile. Yeah. What the hell?
Well, even before that, though, like, you get this, like, he's in the street in Japan, and he's just like, okay. And then all these guys come up with the most blatant Joker masks ever. And he's just like, who are you? And they're all talking about their master. And he's like, who's your master? And he's like, look at the mask, Batman. Who else is it gonna be?
It's clearly the goddamn Joker. Tell you what, though, those Joker masks are cool.
Well, yeah, no, everything like design-wise in this was amazing. But then there's also apparently the ninjas who follow the bat, and he is some type of prophet.
Oh, yeah.
That upset me as well.
I was like, what the hell is this? It makes no sense. I do too.
I do hate that as any form of a story, because it's so overused now, of like, you are the prophesized one. Or I always hate when someone's the key to something.
Yeah.
You're always like, I remember at the tail end of like, you know, Battlestar Galactica, there's a human Cylon hybrid baby. And one poor Starbuck describes her as the key. And I was like, oh, not the key. Jesus, it's always a key, isn't there?
The key master.
Yeah, now that there's like, oh, you are the prophesized one. It's like, why does he have to be a prophesized one? Can he not just be like, hey, I'm here and I'm going to get everything sorted for you?
No, because he has all these ninja followers.
See, this is another thing that annoyed me, right? I'm going to sound like I don't like the movie. I love the movie. But him being sort of this prophesized one brings up two issues. Like, one, it's too many more characters again. Like, he doesn't need like a ninja clan. He's got all these other people. He's got his crew. He doesn't need ninjas. Okay, whatever. But on top of that, So when he eventually, this is jumping far ahead, when he goes back at the end, spoilers everyone, he goes back at the end. Who'd have thunk it? So when he goes back at the end, is this meant to be canon now? Like, is this legit, like, Japanese history that this bat ninja fought in feudal Japan?
Yeah, you'd think so, because they do have like a throwaway line about when like they've got all this advanced technology, and they're just like, oh yeah, the Joker's just sort of brought forward the Industrial Revolution. But then at the tail end, the leader of the Bat Clan's just like, oh, we're gonna go back to the way it was. It's like, I'm pretty sure. People no one in that village is going to keep quiet about the giant friggin' robot that was there earlier.
Spoilers, everyone, there's giant robots.
Oh my god, that just like also, okay, so we get it. The Joker had some insane cannons and stuff. You were going to talk about the Bane thing, the Bane cameo. Okay, so like there's like so much like all I could say is that they threw, like, it's like, imagine just throw everything. Just throw everything in the wall and see what sticks. Just all of it. All of it, and just give it a Japanese twang. Like I said, they culturally appropriated Batman, and then they like gave it the most like I swear, if Japanese people weren't making this, you would be like, this is the most racist thing I've ever seen in my life.
yeah, I agree.
Although it does start off, I think like early on, it does have my favorite moment in the whole movie. Is like after Batman's had his first fight with these Joker guys, and then he's just like, well, what's the Batman thing to do? And he takes out the grappling hook and he just kind of points it in the sky.
Oh, yeah.
And then he realizes there's no tall buildings, so he's just sort of like, oh, crap. Like,
God damn it.
I thought that was like, yeah, that's a pretty cute joke. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, it was a subtle one. I didn't catch that till the second time I watched through the intro, I'll be honest.
Yes. I did enjoy that. I do remember, but I remember watching it and, also, just the first, after 15 minutes, I think I kept saying to my friend when we were watching it is, what the is going on? Just, what is happening? I don't get it. So.
That was me throughout the entire movie, and in a good way. Yeah. But yeah, you do get, Batman then trying to get his bearings, and he's trying to be pretty cool about everything, but he's looking at all these, kind of, we'd regard now as kind of Iron Man-esque kind of holographic computer images that come out of his gauntlet and stuff. And he's just kind of like, what's going on? Everything's offline. And it's like, how are you not getting what this? And then he's just sort of very casually is just like, it looks like I'm in ancient Japan.
Yeah, we kind of got that.
I know, that was exactly like everybody just loves to just give exposition. So yeah. Oh yeah, the way Catwoman shows up with a weird puppet. The cat puppet?
Oh, yeah.
She's just hanging around.
Oh, my God, that was great.
It's like those little golden cat things with the waving hands you get when you go into, Chinatown, touristy shops.
Oh.
They always have those little cats. I think it's supposed to be like a little puppet of that.
Yeah. I love how she tells Bruce Wayne. So Bruce Wayne goes undercover for about 10 seconds as a monk. And they're like, oh, you could dress just like a monk and no one will know you're Batman. And what does he shave on top of his head?
Yeah.
The goddamn Batman insignia. I'm like, yeah, talk about being subtle.
And she says that's a nice touch. It's like, no, it's not. It's terrible. No.
But even it's really clumsy dialogue. She's like, oh, just in case people didn't get it. It's like, by the way, I like your Batman, Thomas. And he's just like, oh, thanks. It's like, and especially Batman been so casually. He's like, oh, cheers. Yeah, that's good.
It's especially stupid because at this point we know the Joker's here, right?
Yeah.
You've seen the Joker. Yeah, he's had a little battle with the Joker. So the last thing he should be doing is advertising himself to the Joker.
Yeah. And the thing is, I had two thoughts when I saw it. Is that one, they kind of mention oh yeah, Christian minister or missionaries were very common in Japan at this time.
Bit of history there.
And then because I saw last year, I don't know if you guys have seen
Silence.
it, but the Martin Scorsese film Silence.
God,
where it's like,
that is the most depressing movie ever.
Oh yeah, it's like it's the movie that fun forgot. Basically, it's just there's nothing but sheer. But that's the thing. It's like not only were they're common. It's like they got the crap tortured out of them. They were hated in Japan at that, according to Silence at least.
Well, yeah,
they were rounded up and tortured and stuff. Yeah. So Batman, he's inviting even more trouble upon himself by doing this. And then the thing is, later on in the movie, you see him without the bat mask on again, and his hair is back to normal. And I was like, oh, how long's it been? Like, it's been like a couple of days.
I thought the same thing. I was also like, I'm like, how quickly did your hair grow back? Because, okay, whatever, that's fine. I love how Catwoman's just strolling around. I'm like, Catwoman, you're not Japanese, and you're just with your giant Caucasian super titties. And, you know, you're like just hanging around in your kimono. You're like, as a foreigner, you could just hide like that, you know. I'm like, what about you? No one's noticing it. No one's noticing these unnaturally large bosom that you have. And big ass blue eyes. They seem to be
even more on show in this outfit as well.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I still like really appreciate the outfit. I'm like, I love it. But it was really, oh god. And so then all of a sudden, Alfred shows up, and who else? God. And like the whole crew of Robins. The various versions of them.
I do have to say though, like the introduction of Alfred is just if you needed any further proof that this version of Batman is a complete idiot, is that he's sitting there and he's just kind of thinking about it, and then Alfred, who hasn't been introduced to him yet, he doesn't know that Alfred's here. He's just kind of comes up next to him and he hands him some tea, and he's like, "Oh, some teas, huh?" And then Bruce is just like, "Oh, much appreciated," and he has like a little sip of it. And he's like, wait a minute, this is black tea. And then Alfred's just like, yes, it is I, sir, I have come. And then it's only then he's like, oh my God, it's Alfred.
I liked that. I appreciated it because, you know, he's so used to Alfred just bringing him tea. He didn't think about it.
I love how they gave Alfred the tiniest little Japanese tape, the little top knot, just a little bit, like, in the back. I'm like, okay, Alfred, that's as much as you get. But then, okay.
But I don't like the insinuation that Bruce is like, I'm not having any of that Japanese tea. None of that foreign stuff.
It was bizarre, though, that, like, it struck me as well, is just that, because, you know, obviously Bruce has, you know, when he goes undercover, he's having to wear, you know, sort of kimonos and robes and stuff like that. But Alfred's still in the tux. But he's in that tux, like, the whole way through the movie. And, like, unless he's got a bunch of spares with him.
It's been 2 years of wearing that tux. He may have designed some. He's like, I assume, a guy who could fix clothes, so I'm sure he's like made several of them just for himself.
Oh, that's a possibility. Okay. Maybe they go find out in like the sequel. It's like Alfred introduced the tuxedo to Japan.
Okay,
that's where it originally came from.
So then we have like our 4 versions of Robin, which have the different incarnations kind of him. I have to admit that actual Robin, which is the smallest one, you know, the youngest one. And his pet monkey.
Monkey
Monkey
Chi, which, okay, did anyone else get this? Because it immediately what sprang to my mind was Speed Racer, Spritle, and Chim Chim. Oh, thanks, Chim Chim. Yeah. I was like, holy crap.
But it's even better, though, because it's as if the film, like, it introduces Monkey Chi as if, like, this is no big deal. And you're like, this is pretty. I thought this movie was crazy already, but what the hell? And then later on,
this whole movie doesn't give you a chance to take anything in, does it?
Yeah, but it almost kind of addresses itself by, like, later on that you find out that Monkey Chi has a girlfriend who's another monkey who's just dressed up in, like, women's clothing. And then when she shows up, I think it's like Nightwing or someone just goes like, who's she? Like, in a really exasperated, like all right, what the hell is going on here? Why is there a female dressed, like, dolled up in female clothing?
And it's not just like, oh, and he got a little pet monkey because he's been here for 2 years. No, this monkey is, like, part of the frickin' story. It's like he has like
he's part of the clan.
Yeah, the what's it called? The climax has these monkeys involved.
Oh my god, I can't wait to talk about that. But I have a question, right? Niall, you said all these characters are here because they were in Arkham. Okay, fine, I'll buy that. Why are all the Robins here? Every one of them.
I guess there was some reason they were all teaming up or whatever, but...
Why were they all... Because in that fight at the start, where Batman's fighting Gorilla Grodd, there's no indication that anyone else is there. Batman doesn't know he's got backup, nothing.
Yeah. No, but like, unless they just were doing it covertly, just to like, it's like, oh no, we'll take care of this, and then Batman was just there, like, oh, he independently was, you know, they were both independently investigating the same case, and then they both happened to be, we all happened to be in Arkham Asylum that night.
And it's too confusing. Like, there's a Robin and a Red Robin in the same film.
There's Red Robin with the Red Hood and Nightwing, right? Like, are those the ones that we got?
Yeah, that's it. But the thing is, like, the concept of the character of Red Robin has existed in comics for like 20 years now.
Oh yeah.
Still, never. Every time I see it, I'm just like, no, Red Robin. But it's just like the name's so lame. It's like Red Robin.
Because
Like,
it reminds
like,
you of that
again, like,
restaurant, right? Isn't there a Red Robin restaurant?
well, I know it's in America. No, we don't have it here.
No, because
but
there's a
it's
whole
just so...
South Park episode about it where they're making fun of the Red Wedding and they keep going to Red Robin, which it's like a crappy chain restaurant, Red Robin.
But like maybe I've not read enough into the comics to like maybe they do address that fact that like he's named after like a cheap chain restaurant. But it is like it's one of these things that like if I were living in Gotham, if I was like a villain in Gotham, or if I was just a citizen, I think I would flat out refuse to call him Red Robin because the name's too stupid. It's like I can get away with Batman and stuff. But it's like when later on when Gorilla Grodd's having to refer to him as of course Red Robin, and it's like I would full on go like I'd just be like no I refuse to call you that. I flat out will not call you Red Robin.
That would be a great storyline, to be honest. It's like no, we're not doing any of that nonsense.
Yeah.
And, we haven't actually mentioned. Well, I briefly said the Joker.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah.
The best part of this movie.
Yeah. Well, actually, another example of Batman being a bit of an idiot is that, like, he stakes out the Joker's place, and the Joker totally gets the drop on him. Like, he's sitting watching him through a window, and then our introduction to the character is that the Joker's just suddenly right behind him on the roof. And I was like, well, how did he sneak up on him? Like, how did the Joker know that Batman was coming that day?
This Joker can fight, like, more than other Jokers.
Oh, yeah, he seems to be, like, really, really skilled at, like, adept at absolutely everything. Like, he just
which is
knows
weird
exactly
because
what he's doing.
He's quite camp in this one, which I loved. I thought that was great. He's even more camp than usual. He's a bit effeminate.
Mm.
Oh, yes.
I think, we should mention, like, because this was the whole appeal of watching the English dub to me was the fact that this Joker is voiced by Tony Hale, who most people would know as Buster Bluth from Arrested Development.
Apparently, there's a new season coming out soon.
There is. Actually, as of recording as well, they've released that remix of the 4th season. Has anyone watched it yet? I haven't watched it
yet. I got to check it out.
I've heard it is better, to the point where Netflix have now hidden the original. You can get it, but they've hidden it.
Oh, weird.
Well, do you have to go like it's under like a different Arrested Development that no one wants? Like, how do you hide
have to go into Arrested Development and then go into the trailers, and it's in there.
What?
That's weird.
Yeah, it's hidden in the trailers section. They've completely just replaced the other one.
That kind of makes the original more appealing to me now. It's like, they don't want you to see it. Oh no, I love it.
Yeah, because I wasn't the biggest fan of the last season, so I'm glad that they.
See, I appreciated it for being different, knowing they were going to do another season that's normal.
Yeah,
I think in retrospect, I quite enjoyed that aspect of it, different. But obviously, they've all decided amongst them, no, this was a misstep.
Yeah, I think it's because it highlighted too much, though, like that you knew that too much time with certain characters wasn't good, because it's like if you had a Tobias episode, that was going to be a great episode because he's like one of the best characters. But then if it was all about like George Senior and like the wall and stuff, it was like it's starting to drag a bit. Like you need Job or someone to pop up here with his subplot to make this thing kind of pop a bit more. And like that was my problem. It just made
where each character had their whole full episode. The same with what's her name? Who's the one who plays the sister?
Portia de Rossi, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a bit much in one whole episode, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't want to, because like everyone in it is great, but it does kind of highlight that certain characters are better than others and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So you have to walk away and go like, yeah, the Lindsay episodes weren't that good, were they? Because she's just not as good a character as Job or someone. So it was an unfortunate thing, but you have to consider this too, that in the current animated Batman canon, you've got Will Arnett doing the Lego Batman.
Oh, of course,
you've got Michael Cera doing the Lego Robin, and now you've got Tony Hale is doing the Batman Ninja Joker, and he's friggin' going for it too. Like he's not holding back. Like really. Like, you can imagine him like friggin' cracking the glass of the recording booth because he's just so big with the whole friggin'. He's like, it's the Joker, the most craziest man in all of Japan.
And those weird little Japanese history lessons that they would stop to give you.
Yeah.
Like let's stop the whole movie and explain how the different regions of Japan and how they've all been divided by.
It went.
It
went very serious in those bits, didn't it?
It's like, okay. Oh, yeah, so we have to get to the Bane thing, like, because it just comes out of nowhere, and then it vanishes, like, out of nowhere. We're like, what
was the point?
So all of a sudden we have Batman. He's got his Batmobile back, and this Batmobile's like a super mecha Batmobile. And he's going to go face off to the Joker when all of a sudden Bane, or a version of Bane, comes up, and it's like a sumo wrestler.
Yeah.
And he's doing
like
sumo
that.
moves, and he's also like doing that sumo sound. Whoa! What?
Well, that's the thing. Was he actually saying anything in Japanese? Because I couldn't.
No,
I mean, my Japanese
he was
is
just
very.
making like the noises that you do when you're like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
that's just like, you know, your prepping noise. It's not really a word.
I was a bit uncomfortable with that. I'll be honest.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, but the fact that he appears out of it's just, and then they even give him like his own little, because every time people show up, they do a little kind of like the name comes up on screen.
Animation, yeah.
It was like playing Street Fighter or something. It was great.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, he shows up, and then they have like a little altercation. You know, this Bane, the man who broke the bats. And then he has like a 5-second fight with him, and Batman kind of throws him over his shoulder, like, I haven't got time for you. And then that's the end of Bane. Never reappears throughout. Even at the end, when they all go back, they're like, did they get Bane? Does Bane still just left running around feudal Japan? What the hell's going on?
Oh my god. I said, okay, so then he goes to try and fight the Joker, goes to his castle, and is this when it becomes a robot castle?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Arkham Castle.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, like, he's like, okay, I assumed, okay, he's, you know, whatever, I'm still buying it, like, he's gonna go fight the Joker. Oh yeah, that's the one thing I'll say about this movie is nothing but nonstop action, like the entire movie. I get
Well,
this,
except for those 5 seconds where they explain Japanese history.
Yes, it stops you, and there's one little part where like it slows down, and then the rest is just fight. Like it's just one fight scene after the next.
I remember that they do have like little moments where they try to establish like character traits, but even then I'm like, is that really a thing that they do? Like they have a thing where like when Alfred's first introduced, and he's talking about like, oh yes, I've always wanted to visit this beautiful country, but in my own time. Although there's a fish dish that I'm quite fond of, made with miso. And then like Bruce, I think he kind of chuckles like, "Oh, Alfred, you're always talking about food." And I'm like, I don't remember. I know Alfred will give him food. I don't know if he's got like an obsession about it or something.
My favorite bit with that is the way he goes, you know, there's a fish dish I want to try made with miso. And Batman's like, yes, I can't wait to try that fish dish you've been talking about.
Yeah,
he's only just brought it up. He's not been talking about it for weeks.
It's like he's just like heard in some deleted scene there where like Alfred was going on about this fish dish for like another couple of hours or something, constantly dropping it in the conversation.
I was also very offended by the way he pronounced miso. He does a Z. He's like miso.
Oh yeah.
I was like, okay, it could work if it done in the right accent or something, but no, he's just doing it in his little posh English voice. I was like, no.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound right.
But they have that as a recurring thing later on, though, that like Alfred, when they're getting prepped for like the final big battle, and Alfred starts going on about like, oh, if we do the harvest, then we can make fresh bread, and Batman again is all like, oh, old friend, you know, he's just like, Alfred, I don't recall him ever been obsessed with food. Like, he was always just like, oh, here is your dinner, Master Wayne. That's the end of it. Like,
and why is he making bread? He's in Japan. There's other things you can have much easier.
Oh, to be fair, I guess, you know, if you were 2 years in to this, like, oh, you suddenly had like a thing, you have a staple of your own diet that you can't get anymore. I guess maybe he's just like, I'm just dreaming about like that whole my love of that fish.
Bread.
Yeah,
he's trying to get him in shape, right? For the fight. What's better, having loads of bread or rice? Like, I know what I'm eating. Come on, the energy. You want the rice?
They need that more of that fish dish. I mean, his whole thing though is like he's Master Bruce. Like I was all up front. I hate that fish dish, but I was just dreaming about it. I was eating it, pretending it was bread. It was the closest thing I could get. Just tasted a little bit like bread.
Also, before we really get into this robot castle, because we have to, of course. I just wanted to point out as well something like, I'm going to sound really negative. This is a great film, but the Batmobile, right? This is another thing that just really caught me off guard. The way he's got all his equipment, like, because in the not in the trailer, in the slight description of it before it came out, I thought, you know, he's just in ancient Japan. And then when I started watching it and he goes back in time, I'm like, okay, so he's gone back in time. He hasn't got any of his Batman stuff. That's going to be the plot. Oh, how can he be Batman without his Batmobile, without his Batwing, blah, blah, blah. No, he's just got everything.
Yeah.
Batmobile's there somehow. Doesn't matter.
They kind of try to pull like an Iron Man 3 on you, where it's like he has all this tech and then it gets destroyed. And then he has to come to the realization of like, no, I'm more than technology and gadgets.
So what was the point in it coming with him?
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, it could have had straight up. Well, I guess they just wanted to have a big Batmobile versus a giant robot castle fight. So they're like, oh, I gotta have it in there for a bit.
Yeah, I don't think they could have done that considering the amount of technology that like the Joker had and stuff like that. It's like. Yep.
It's kind of like
this is not
in the space of 2 years. Not only has he brought forward like the Industrial Revolution, like he somehow got people to. Well, I think they do mention that it's supposed to be Gorilla Grodd's the one who really brought forward a lot of this robot stuff. Later on, when all the villains have robots,
Castles.
Gorilla Grodd kind of reveals it's like, no, it was I this whole time, and all this. But even then, it's like it's 2 years. You know, unless you from day one, you're like, we need to start building these robot castles right now, and we have to make sure that they can all join up into one big giant robot at the end.
Oh yeah, that's the thing we haven't brought up. Like this, when we say robot castle, we mean robot castle. Like it's
like
literally the most Japanese thing you've ever seen. It's like a mecha. Yeah, it's like Howl's Moving Castle mixed with Power Rangers kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's insane.
that's a good way of saying it. Yeah. So again, like in terms of plot. So he fights the Joker, kind of wins. Do they end up on some ship? He helps Gorilla Grodd, right? Like Gorilla Grodd is the one who like first starts to help him and then betrays him, and then, like it gets really confusing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Gorilla Grodd's like, yeah, well, you know, you can help me fight the Joker, and I will, you know, help us get back to our time. But you know, they get on some ship for some reason, like a boat.
Great looking ship, may I point out.
Oh yeah, there's another bit, where one, you know, we have so far we've had the Joker got the drop on Batman by like you know, just coming sneaking up behind him, and then Alfred somehow got the drop on Batman by appearing behind him and giving him a cup of tea.
Everyone gets the drop on Batman.
There's a bit where Gorilla Grodd's having a bath and he just knows Batman's there. And it's like Gorilla Grodd, a bathing Gorilla Grodd has the drop on Batman. But then they had the big confrontation on the ships, and it's like Gorilla Grodd is in this little tiny ship in front of the Joker, and there's a guy rowing who's got big bat ears coming out of his hat.
Oh, yeah.
And then it whips off the thing, and he's just like, Batman, what the hell?
I love, okay, so the one thing that always, like, I find funny is, so there's all these, like, there's, like, a ninja clan who, you know, we mentioned, it's, like, they have, like, a bat savior that's supposed to come, you know, they're the bat clan of ninjas. So they all have, like, before Batman even arrives, they all have little, like, those little bat ears poking up the top of like all their freaking costumes.
Cute.
Adorable, right? Except let's be realistic. Bats aren't really known for their little pointy ears. They're known for their wings. And I'm like, that's the aesthetic you took? The Batman ears? Like, no bat actually has those. It's just a Batman thing.
Yeah, they do. I think they say that at the beginning when he's attacked by like the Joker guys at the very start. They're like, oh, we're sent to find a guy dressed up as a bat. It's like, if I didn't know Batman was Batman, I don't know if I would be. I'd be like, some guy's got like horns and a black cape. Is that a bat?
Devil?
Like, I don't know what the hell is he dressed as a bat, or is this something else? Because there's a whole bunch of weird dressed people around here. There's some guy called Red Robin for some reason, and you have to say Red Robin every time because even though he's got a smaller version of him who's just called Robin. And there's another guy called Red Hood. And it's like, is he like an amalgamation of the two guys? What the hell? Who are these people?
Jesus, it is confusing even to us. It's too many characters.
There was a lot of characters. There was.
But yeah, and then at that point, I think by the time like they've introduced like, well, yeah, because you know, Rob, I'm assuming, you know, it's supposed to be that Nightwing's obviously Dick Grayson, Red Robin will be Tim Drake, Red Hood is Jason Todd, and then it'll be Damian Wayne will be the Robin they've got there, who is fully committed to getting like the Japanese haircut and everything as well. Like he's gone full bore into like, oh, I'm keeping up with the latest trends here. And like, you know, I'm making friends with the monkeys.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Red Hood has that weird oh my god, what is that hat called? That's
I know, but it's not coming to mind. It's the most absurdly Japanese thing ever as well. It's like a giant wooden...
You look like a lantern.
Yes.
The basket hat is called a komuso.
Komuso.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, Red Hood. He's wearing this komuso the whole time. No, he's wearing this the whole time. You know, like again, like they've gone full native, I guess, while hanging out there, which is fine, fair enough. Okay, so let's go to the next weird part that happens in terms of plot. So there's this boat thing. Does Gorilla Grodd betray them at this time? I can't remember if this is the point. I think so.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
He does. He teams up just to confuse matters more. It turns out he's working with Two-Face.
Yes. And that's the thing.
And the others too. They also show up, don't they? They all come.
Yeah, we should mention it. Yeah, there's a bit because there's a lot of things. There's a segment where they introduce the fact that the other villains are there, and it's a full on. It's like something from a video game where they have like this sort of flashing, like a video game cutscene of like this is like all the obstacles you have to face now. And there's actually a bit in the Arkham Origins game where they're discussing like, oh, here's all the villains that Batman's gonna have to face, and it's like Bane, Copperhead and all this stuff, and it leads up to this big reveal of the Black Mask and stuff, and it's really cool. And it's kind of appropriate because the voice of Batman in this is Roger Craig Smith, who did him in Arkham Origins. But that because of that though, well the thing is it's more video game-esque in the fact that like they all have to say a little phrase, even though the phrases make no sense, and it's like at one point like Two-Face is there and he just goes like let's see, what will my next step be? And it's like a little like, well, that's not a very Two-Face thing to say. Is it because it's kind of like a rhyming couplet? Is that the kind of Two-Facedness of it? Or?
Yeah, and I think because he doesn't know what he's going to do because he flips the coin, it's like that doesn't really work still.
Yeah, and plus this Two-Face should not be what will our next step be, because he's split personalities and stuff, and it becomes very apparent that like it could have been anybody. Like they brought in like, oh, it's the Penguin and he's voiced by Tom Kenny from SpongeBob and stuff. But it could have been any. You could have replaced him with any villain. It didn't have to be the Penguin. Like it just.
I tell you what, I loved the Penguin, but I wanted. In fact, to be honest, right, I liked all the villains in it, but other than the Joker, they're not really in the movie.
No,
like they just pop up. This could have worked as a series.
Well, that was what I was thinking. Is it struck me more as it could have been a great video game.
Oh
like
yeah,
this,
it did feel like a game a lot. I mean, even with the like I said, the cell shading and the entire animation was like felt like a game. But no, there was, I agree, because like I really loved Poison Ivy's design. I loved it. I was like, wow, she looks amazing. Actually, like I said, all the designs are so good. But again, back to plot. So the boat blows up, and everybody's blown up, and you think the Joker's dead, but he's not dead, obviously.
It blows up in such a manner that you see, it seems like it's the most apocalyptic explosion ever.
It looks like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, and Batman's standing like in the eye of the storm going like, no! It's like, and it's at that point then, like I guess it's supposed to be like it's supposed to be 2 days later. Yeah, Batman wakes up and his hair is back to normal. So it's just like, that's a massive, unless he just fashioned himself a little bald cap thing.
Maybe. And can I point out as well that this is like just over 30 minutes into the film. All of this stuff we've talked about.
I remember there was a point where I paused it to find out how far we were into the movie. Like, and we're like, what the hell? There's more? Like, this feels like it should be done soon.
Oh yeah, this boat fight feels like, oh, this is the end, right? Because all your villains are here. The Joker, like, everyone's versus the Joker, okay, and then it's like, no, that was like a quarter of the way through the movie. Like, all right, well, what else do you got?
And it does keep going. So what is the next? So he gets kind of better-ish. God, what was the next point that happens? I know that Catwoman goes off with Gorilla Grodd because she wants to go back home, and
Batman gets a new mask from the Bat Clan.
Yeah.
Which looks exactly the same as his old mask. So what the hell was the point in his old mask getting broken in the explosion? The only difference is it straps on at the back with like a cord.
Yeah.
But on the front it looks the same. Why did they bother?
But and you get a little montage of like, because again, much like a video game, every villain in the area has a part of the Quake Engine, which is a thing you need to join up in order to go, Back to the Future. And it has a little montage of like cutting them all for some reason just standing out, holding the thing in the air, and they all kind of go. It's like,
Yeah,
why is
that's
this
a
here?
perfect.
Yeah, this has been because everyone who's there, it's Two-Face, the Penguin, Poison Ivy, and Deathstroke. It seems to be like recently Deathstroke's become like a really big deal as a villain. I have no idea why. Because he's just like, he's like a mercenary guy, and he's a bit like
He's
Deadpool.
boring.
Deathstroke, I
like-
just remember him from, what's it called? Was he in Teen Titans? Was he the guy?
Yeah. I think he was originally a Teen Titans villain, and he, much like Gorilla Grodd, kind of made the leap into he's a Batman villain now. But yeah, he's at the end of like Justice League and stuff. They kind of throw in like, Deathstroke's gonna be a big deal. And I don't know if it's because Deadpool was kind of a winkingly knowing ripoff of Deathstroke, because he's Slade Wilson and then Deadpool's Wade Wilson and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I don't know if it's DC trying to be like, hey, let's not forget who was here first, and so we have to put Deathstroke in everything now.
Oh God, I've been traumatized of the character of Deathstroke, and I say this with reluctance, guys, and don't do it unless things that are like slightly, if erotica kind of bothers you. But okay, I say this. Do you guys remember the website Newgrounds? Has anyone ever gone back there? Do you guys know Newgrounds? Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay, Newgrounds. Like before the days of YouTube. Like back in the albino black sheep days. Newgrounds was a website for Flash cartoons. Flash animation. And it was the Wild West of the web, so everything and anything is on there. And there was a thing called, I think it was Teen Titans, either Raven. There was one for Raven and one with Starfire. Hentai. And it gets, like, they had Slade in one, and basically they used the dub, from the cartoon, as well as interspliced the cartoon with this Flash animation. The Flash animation was so smooth, it looked like it really just came from that, but it just gets really goddamn horrible, like, oh my, like, okay, so needless to say, I think Newgrounds still exists, and I bet you can still find this freaking short out there somewhere, but it just, like, for that, like, Slave Forever, I remember from this, like, little web short of him, like banging Raven, and I'm like, ah!
Welcome to Bat Minute Nights, where we talk about everything and anything. I genuinely want to review fanfic from Tumblr as a hiatus episode, but I don't know. Oh, I have a question here, actually, because Batman, then, he decides, okay, I've lost all my technology. It's all been destroyed. Again, why did they even bother bringing it? But okay, so he's starting from scratch. How can I be Batman without my technology? So he decides to undergo ninja training.
Yeah.
Now, I was under the impression that pretty much every version of Batman had already received ninja training.
Yes.
Yes,
That's...
I agree.
I mean, unless they're going to make him like a better ninja. But
isn't he the best?
yeah, I guess maybe it's just like, oh no, he's not as good as they would have been back in the ninja days. So
maybe.
Yeah, well, like,
I didn't really understand why he needed to do more training.
Well, the thing is, though, like, what Batman actually does in the end of the movie to win doesn't really involve his ninja training. It sort of involves...
No, it's full, like, Naruto ninja training.
Yeah, but how he actually beats the Joker's big giant robot is so crazy that it's just like, I don't think you could have...
I was so confused, and also, like, it was just, I don't know, it was both wonderful and insane at the same time. I was like, what
and
the hell
arousing,
is going
I'll be
on?
honest.
I don't know, may have been for some people.
But before that, though, we should say that, there is it's kind of a little breather in the action here, where you get the animation style does switch. There's a really nice looking, hand drawn kind of appearance, and you get a little.
Oh yeah, it looks beautiful, doesn't it?
For the most part, the animation in this and the particular designs and stuff are fantastic. But you get this little.
This looks like a Japanese watercolor kind of thing. Maybe.
Yeah, it's terrific. But you get a little side story where Red Hood has tracked down where the allegedly dead Joker and Harley are, and it gets very uncomfortable for a bit because you just think he's just attacking some woman until you realize that it's Harley, and it's like, all right, thank God for that.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
No, but then
like, what the? I thought it was going to go into like some rapey territory because it's Japanese, and that's immediately what like came to mind. I'm like, oh no, what the hell's happening? Oh god, not this again. Because I've watched too much anime to know that stuff like that happens way too often.
God, it does get uncomfortable again though, because then you realize, okay, it might be the Joker and Harley he's tracked down, but they don't know they're the Joker and Harley.
Yeah.
Which has a strange twist to it, complicating matters. We'll get to that in a minute. But they don't know they're Joker and Harley.
Yeah. And what's weird to me is, like, I don't know if there was, between the animation departments, if there was some notes that weren't swapped. But, like, this man, like, the honest farmer, who is the Joker, he doesn't have a mustache. And yet everywhere else in the film, the Joker has this really long mustache. And it's like, just no one say to them, it's like, oh, he's got a mustache, you know, might want to put that in. And it'd be fair enough if, like, when the Joker, spoilers, reappears at the end as the Joker.
What?
If he didn't have the tash. But it's like, no, it's back. It's like, all right, well, just no one cared enough.
Maybe it's a stick-on.
Yeah.
Dude, Okay, I do admit I like the little story of how he got himself to remember. Like, he hypnotized that they wouldn't remember who they were. And then they planted those weird poppy flowers or something. Like, they were like...
Yeah, because Batman actually says, like, he would know if the Joker was lying about not knowing he's the Joker.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the plan is he's hypnotized him and Harley so they genuinely don't know.
Yeah. This seems to me like it's kind of a weird thing to be currently happening, because, you know, film's come out just before the conclusion of the comic run White Knight, where the Joker has seemingly genuinely been cured, and he's running for, like, he's been city councilman, and he's trying to take down Batman by being like, well, he's too dangerous, and he spends so much taxes are spent on Batman and all this kind of stuff, and you know it's something seedy's going on, but it appears as if he genuinely is not the Joker anymore. And it's a bit weird as well, because, you know, the Batman's whole thing is like, oh, you can't kill him, just send him away to Arkham to be treated. And you guess, does he believe in rehabilitation? Because as soon as it seems as if the Joker is cured, Batman is relentless in going, there's no way he's cured! It's not possible! And it's like, if you don't think he's ever going to get any better, so what, are you just hoping he doesn't break out of Arkham every time? It's just like...
Basically, yeah. Despite all the evidence to the contrary.
But the thing is, like, as great as the animation in this bit is, and everything, and it does have like a sort of, it plays into what happens at the end. I do think that this is just here as a kind of a palate cleanser, because you've had a massive action sequence, and they're like, well, we need something. It's just not action for a bit, so we're like, introduce this little storyline that it doesn't really need to be there. In the end of the day, it's sort of like. Yeah, because the Joker just comes back. And it's just like, you could have just had him like, oh, we thought he was dead, and he just reappears. But like, they're like, no, they found him, and he wasn't crazy anymore. And then at the end, he comes back, and it's like, he's crazy again. And it's like, we've had to add in like an additional 5 minutes of footage to convey this little mini story.
It is convoluted, isn't it? Like, I don't understand. And also, were either of you confused when it first came on the screen, this bit? Because of the animation change and whatnot? I thought this was a flashback to when they first arrived in feudal Japan.
I did think it was a flashback, too. I didn't know it was just continuing on with the story. I actually had a feeling that it was going to keep changing animation styles. I was like, okay, maybe this is one of these things where, like, a different animator just takes over. And maybe it's a different sequence. Like, maybe it's like, one of those movies that has, like, several parts to it, and they're all kind of separate. Yeah. That's what I originally thought was going to happen. But no, it goes back to, like, the other animation again. And I'm like... Okay. I mean, I did like it. I admit it was like beautiful. I remember thinking that. I was like, wow, what a beautifully done thing. At the same time, I'm still watching this movie, and all I'm saying is like, what the hell is going on? Like, I'm still saying what the hell is going on still. I'm like,
I've watched it twice and I'm still saying that.
So then what happens next is you find out Gorilla Grodd is like, he can control everybody, like all the other villains.
Yeah, he kind of gets everyone. You find out that everyone has their own ship, and they're all these very big, very impressive robot ships that
the castles
they made. Yeah, and then it turns out that Gorilla Grodd can actually, again, because there's no point to these other villains being there, only just to be a means to an end. They're just sort of like, oh, we just need these characters here so we can do this thing with a robot later on.
Yeah, I think they just went, Long Halloween had loads of villains. Just do that.
yeah, pretty much. It's just like, it doesn't matter. It's like, you don't have to introduce any of the character traits of any of these people, except for Poison Ivy does do a little bit with plants, but that's about it. It's just more like, oh, we just need enough people for people to fight at the end, pretty much. And yeah, it's revealed that yes, Gorilla Grodd actually has like mind control. Well, he did try to do the mind control in the Batclan earlier. And they just, it actually is a great scene where he's just like, oh no, you're all under my command. And they just kind of stare at him and they're like, well, our wills are too strong to be controlled by you idiot. It's like,
screw you.
I
Who are you?
did like that. Yeah, no, that was all interesting. It was just so weird because the next thing that starts to happen, I guess you could say that the climax is coming up because the whole movie's felt like climax.
Yeah, the whole movie is the end of a movie.
It really is. It's like, what the hell? No 3x structure here, buddy.
And before we get into the absolute insanity, I just want to say, like, Batman rides into battle against these giant robots. He's now he's a samurai, which is decidedly not a ninja. May I point out? They're two very different things. I don't know why he's suddenly now a samurai. Where did that come from?
Japan said yes. See, this is the thing is, like, right? If this would have been made by people who weren't Japanese, you would think it was super racist. You're like, yeah,
exactly.
This is the same. But since a bunch of Japanese people made
Yeah,
this,
you know.
it's like, okay, that's fine.
It's all Japanese stuff. Yeah. So do you think this is like a Japanese person's interpretation of what they think Americans think about Japan?
I think you're right. That's exactly what it is. It is,
which is pretty accurate.
It is that. It is exactly that. I couldn't say it better. Yes, it definitely is. What Japanese people think Americans think Japanese people are. It has every stereotype you can imagine: ninjas, samurai, like weird cutesy stuff, mechas,
it's even like Nightwing's like hairdo and stuff. Like this is just straight out of like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that. It's just they're just going for every anime trope that they can. Which it's fair enough if that's what they want to do. It's like, all right, you've made this crazy friggin' movie, but it's like I enjoyed it, so yeah, by all means, go right ahead.
It really was just like something just out of this world, I have to admit. So this is what I was saying. Catwoman is there, but she's literally just there. She's just kind of hanging out, not really doing anything too much.
Yeah, she's got kind of boring at this point.
She's just
her whole she's just desperate to get back to Gotham. She's been led to believe that that's what Gorilla Grodd's gonna. Oh, I just want these things so we can all go home. And then it's revealed that, of course, he once again betrayed. He betrayed the Joker and he betrayed Two-Face earlier and all this stuff. And now it's like, I was always planning to stay here and rule
and take over Japan.
Yeah. So.
Like that's kind of like a limited place. Like Japan is an island. Not to say that Japan isn't a giant country, and to rule it wouldn't be like a great accomplishment. But I mean, you guys are all American. You don't want to aim a little bigger.
To be honest, it's a step up from their usual plans to rule Gotham a single city.
Although here's a question actually, because. This is one of those things like you don't really the film's just willfully like going just don't think about this, but I did think about it, so here it is. Okay, so they've all gone back in time to ancient Japan, yet they're all speaking American, and yet presumably everyone else is still speaking Japanese. But so have the Bat Clan, have they all learned English to accommodate Batman? Or is it like a kind of like the Doctor Who TARDIS situation where it's like, oh no, it's got an inbuilt translator. So, like, you yourself are speaking the language of whatever planet you've landed on.
Well, see, I could buy Batman knowing Japanese.
I could too.
Right? But Penguin?
Yeah. But yeah,
how's he speaking to people?
Yeah, that's the thing, because they've taken over. It's been established as like, oh yeah, they have, like they are the shoguns of their territory and stuff. So... It's like, so this Two-Face, as he's just literally just muscled his way in, and he doesn't even need to speak the language. He's just like, no, I've just, through sheer force, I've taken over this, and somehow I'm commanding all these people without speaking their language? Or is it just don't think about it? Like, it just doesn't have to make sense.
Does he just do the Western tourist thing of pointing and talking very slowly and loudly?
Yeah. Probably, yes. I would imagine like that's the only logical explanation is that. So...
Yeah, okay, so let's get to where things go kind of insane. Go
insane. What?
At that point, it seems like Gorilla Grodd, it's like he mind controls everybody, all the villains, for all their castles to join together into one giant, Like it is literally a Power Rangers moment where everybody's
Yes.
sword.
I had to pause it and just laugh for 10 minutes
Yeah.
straight.
Like all their pieces, you know, I even heard in my head it's morphin time. Like, like you play the music. Exactly.
Tyrannosaurus!
Triceratops. All right, exactly. Everything's going together. Go, go. Like it's all of that.
Who is your favorite Power Ranger from the first one?
Pink one,
the
obviously.
First series. Now, obviously, I loved the Green Ranger when he came into
yeah.
it. He was the best one.
He wa-
Green's my favorite
Yeah, no,
color.
Tommy was cool because he like did
Tommy,
martial
yeah.
arts and stuff, and he could kick Jason's ass. No one liked Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he started off as a bad guy.
Plus, he had a ponytail, so like,
Yeah, he's got a
all-
ponytail, which means he was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like any good, you know, young girl who watched Power Rangers, it was obviously the Pink Ranger, Kimberly. She did gymnastics and was super pretty.
See, I was into the Yellow Ranger. She was a bit of a crush of mine.
Oh, Trini. Oh, that actress died in a car crash.
I know, that upsets me so much. I learned when I was a kid, I had a book all about the Power Rangers and the actors and actresses, and there was a little fact about her that her favourite dish was a chili dog. And as an English person, it introduced me to what that was, because I had no clue.
Have you not yet come across the Sonic cartoon, in which he constantly went on about eating chili dogs?
Oh, yeah. No, that I think I got into that maybe around the same kind of time.
There
probably.
might have been a period in like the early 90s where America was really trying to push chili dogs on people. It was like,
Oh yeah,
this is the new thing.
Sonic was his favorite food, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although actually,
and as an English kid, it was like, what the hell is this? We had hot dogs, but that was fancy. You know?
plus I've this is a very UK argument to have, you know, even an Irish man, you know, thing, because like I don't know what people regard as being hot dogs. I don't like, because I know they go for that Frankfurter. That's what a proper hot dog's supposed to be. And like I know from growing up in Ireland, where it was just like you have Denny's sausages, just a normal run of the mill sausage. That was your hot dog. And now,
Oh, no, you're weird.
Okay.
and now, you know, at this point, I've just been like, when people offer you a hot dog, I have to do a constant like, is it just a standard sausage, or is it a Frankfurter? Because if it's a Frankfurter, get that thing the hell away from me. I don't want to know about it.
See, I'm big on the bratwurst, me. That's
Oh man, well I like bratwurst, but I'll have to say, as like an American, also like, the UK does excellent sausages, like sausages in general. Like we do not really do sausages in America. We do these little, like it looks like pieces of literally the little links, and they're crap. And then here you get like such a large variety of types of, you know, different sausages, and it's amazing. But funny enough, you mentioned the hot dogs, because I cannot eat hot dogs in this country. I find them just vile. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is disgusting.
I can see that, yeah.
Like, whereas, like, I like going home and I go freaking pick up a pack of Oscar Mayer cheese dogs, and I'm like, I'm gonna stick these in the microwave. Fucking great. I don't care how gross it is. Like, in my, like, if you think about it, you're like, dude, this is. Oh yeah, I think there was a meme. Somebody, hold on, let me see if I can find. There's a meme about hot dogs that I saw recently, and I was like, that's just the freaking greatest thing I've ever read about like how a hot dog is made. And God, what was this somebody said? Facebook. Here we go. Now I've lost it. No, never mind. I've lost it. It was something about, you know, how the first hot dog was made, and it was like a bunch of hog anuses fell into a penis machine.
That makes you think of The Simpsons, where it shows you what's in a hot dog.
Oh yeah, the rat tail.
It's got like a boot.
And like a raccoon.
Probably accurate, which is why I'm glad that I'm now a vegetarian. To be
No,
honest.
Oh, you'll be back, John. You'll be back.
Never,
No,
never.
I love doing that joke. God, no, what was I saying about? Oh no, I love meat too much. No way, I can't let it go. I don't care how gross some stuff is. Yeah, I love meat. I can't live without. No. It has to happen.
anyway.
All right, so we're back to the movie.
Yeah, we're on the cusp of this thing going completely nuts as well. So. But yeah, it actually does do a little. I did quite like the reveal of the Joker's return, because it's like Gorilla Grodd's in the middle of his whole like, you know, and I shall rule Japan, and then all of a sudden I guess a little thing pops in and it's got the and it sprouts out the little flower and starts spraying gas everywhere, and it turns out it's like
It's Buster Bluth.
yes, he's back, the bitch is back, and
It's Britney, bitch.
Oh, it might as well have been, because man, Brittany wishes she could have that kind of comeback to her. Like, oof.
Yeah. Every time she comes back, it's like, oh, Brittany's back. And it's like every 2 years they say this.
All she needs to do is get a giant hot air balloon with her face painted across it. And then
yes. Oh, that hot air balloon. Oh, my God. At first, I was like, why has he got that against these robots?
Yeah. But the thing is, like, it's one of these things, it just happened to be a happy coincidence. Because, like, yeah, they've created this giant robot now. Everyone's joined together. And he's got this thing that happens to have his face on it. And then when the Joker takes over the robot, like he incapacitates Gorilla Grodd, like he paralyzes them and throws them out the side. And then Batman ends up saving Grodd and Catwoman. And but yeah, he brings down the balloon and it fits perfectly over the head of the robot.
Yeah.
So it's like a giant robot with Joker's face now.
Convenient.
I was like, oh, that worked out really well.
Yeah, and here's the best part, because it gets very Wizard of Oz now with the monkeys, because Gorilla Grodd like gives him like the flute. I know it's Little Robin who takes it. Because of course he's hanging out with monkeys all day, so you know he has not only great flute skills but probably like 8 types of hepatitis.
Great flute skills sounded very filthy.
I don't know. There's always those jokes about Robin and Batman, you know.
Wow.
But all of a sudden, what's his little monkey friend, Monkey Chi? Is that?
Oh, Monkey Chi.
Yeah, Monkey Chi and Monkey Chi's girlfriend, who looks like Monkey Chi but with a little dress. Like, see that? Not a Japanese kimono. I mean, she's wearing a dress, like a pink Hello Kitty dress. Yeah, Hello Kitty style dress.
You've been given the impression that there's an entire like Monkey Chi spin-off like story going on that we've been not privy to, because it is just like, who is this? Who is Monkey Chi anyway? Like, I kind of am interested to see his entire story, because it is just like,
I want him to come back in the next movie.
Because now what happens is suddenly a giant swarm of monkeys come out from the forest or whatever the hell. I mean, a ton of a swarm, which, you know, in itself would be quite scary. So I imagine the monkeys start swarming the robot. So far, okay, within the realm of probability, not possibility, probability of like this movie. But then, to like top it all off, the monkeys all of a sudden join together and form one giant monkey.
This was unbelievable.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And then there's a bit. It's because Robin and Monkey Chi are playing the flute, but what they're playing a variation of the 1960s Batman theme, because it's doing a couple of little bits, and then all of a sudden it'll go into like dun, 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 and it's like, oh yeah, that's it. No, 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 no.
But where's this magical flute that controls monkeys even come from?
Gorilla Grodd had it somewhere.
What is it?
Yeah, that's all
Why?
the explanation.
How?
Although to be fair, it is like, yeah, why does Gorilla, like a telekinetic, or not telekinetic, but like a psychic kind of, you know, he can communicate through his mind and whatnot. And plus he's already a monkey himself, or an ape.
Yeah, exactly.
So why does he need a thing? Is this because, just in case everything else fails, I've also invented a flute that will control the monkeys.
If you didn't think this movie was weird enough, here's a magical monkey flute.
Yeah. So the monkeys are then fighting the collection of all the castles that have formed into this mecha. So a series of smaller monkeys form to one large monkey, fighting a bunch of castles that have formed into a giant mech powered by the Joker, with each limb that is powered by like another Batman villain.
This is all accurate information, may I say.
Oh god, what's the point where the bats come in? Do you guys remember? Because that's what's also like, what the hell? Okay.
Yeah, it gets weirder.
I kind of lost that, because it's for some reason at some point, a swarm of bats show up, and then they coat the monkeys. And then that turns into a giant version of Batman.
Yeah, who looks like Batman. He doesn't look like, you know, like a bunch of, at least the monkeys look like they were all made of monkeys, you know, in the shape of a monkey.
Yeah.
No, but this looks like literally Batman. It is him. It is his figure with a slightly gray complexion.
It looks very specifically like the original Batman.
Oh yeah, the 1960s Batman.
Or even earlier than that, like the original comics, like he's even got the ears are a bit too spread apart and stuff, and
Oh, yeah, good spot.
I did notice that for some reason they kept the note to keep his belt yellow.
Yep.
Like it's like, oh, don't cover his belt. You gotta keep that's yellow.
Yeah.
Everything else is gray. It's like, oh,
It's just, oh my god! And the only thing I could think of was Crank 2, High Voltage, where they have that fight. It's between Jason Statham, Chev Chelios, and the Japanese guy, where they turn into basically Godzilla characters and have a big fight. It's like a big Godzilla Batman.
And of course, Crank 2, the greatest film ever made. So I'm assuming everyone's.
I won't argue with that. It's absolutely one of the greatest movies ever made.
But potentially the only film that may be even crazier than Batman Ninja. But yeah, then again, this is after Batman's all his ninja training. At the end of the day, what he actually needed was a giant other Batman controlled by a monkey flute made up of monkeys and bats. And it's like, oh, I probably shouldn't have bothered doing all that ninja training because it turns out I didn't need it in the first place.
Complete waste of time.
I think that was part of his ninja training was to control the bats.
Yes, all ninjas control bats and monkeys, yes.
So that happens. And, to be honest, it starts to become quite blurry at this point. I'm like, I know they get back somehow. I know that that all the other Robins, they all go off to fight the other villains. Like, one is fighting Penguin, Poison Ivy, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very rigid, like, it's Nightwing versus Penguin, Red Hood versus Deathstroke. And Red Hood, he's really let off the leash as well, because earlier in the movie, he's talking about, I can't wait to slaughter all of them. And like, you think at some point Batman will be like, well, hey, you're not slaughtering anybody. But he's just kind of like, whatever. It's Robin versus Ivy. And then you get this very sort of, it has to be deliberate. It's like Harley versus Catwoman.
Yeah.
But they have like the introduction of like, now for a little girl on girl action.
Oh yeah, that line.
That was uncomfortable.
I remember the same thing. I was like, did they just say that?
Yeah. And there's a bit where like Harley kind of has Catwoman sort of in a kind of headlock thing, and she licks her cheek. And I was like, you're really going for this eroticism right here.
Oh no, I liked that though. That fit Harley, I think, the lick of the cheek. Because you know me, I like my wrestling. I've mentioned this on the podcast before. Mm-hmm. And there was a good feud back in the day between Trish Stratus and Mickie James. And the idea was Mickie James was an obsessed fan. She had a shrine to Trish and stuff. And I remember in a match, she rolled her up for the pin, and Trish kicked out. And because of where Mickey's hand had been on her, shall we say, for the pin, she then just licked her fingers like that. And it was really filth. It was obscene, but it was like, oh, this is brilliant because she's meant to be obsessed with it. It's great.
Oh God, that sounds great and horrible at once.
Yeah.
I should have also mentioned, in the midst of all this craziness as well, there was a point where the Joker took a nap. There's a bit like in the middle of the fight, he just goes like, "Oh, what am I going to do now? Oh, I think it's about time for a nap." It's like,
oh yeah,
what?
I forgot that.
It is like the movie just went, there's too much going on at this point. We need to get rid of a character or two for a while.
I guess you could argue like, oh, the Joker is really nutso, so yeah, it makes sense he would have a nap there. But it does really feel like they're just sort of like, we need him to be not doing something for like 5 minutes.
It's like the directors of this and the writers just did a George Lucas and sort of went, I may have gone too far in a few places. Just like, his famous Phantom Menace observation.
Yeah.
But eventually you do get, the destruction of this giant robot, and Batman, he finds out the whole business of that the Joker had hypnotized himself to think that he was really not the Joker anymore and all that stuff that we've kind of talked about before. And then, well, I will admit, though, that there's a really good kind of final fight between them. Because at this point, you think, like, so much craziness has happened. It's just like, oh, it's about time to wrap this up. But there's another, like, good 5-10 minute sequence where it's, like, the Joker and Batman on a rooftop, and they just decide to have a sword fight. And the sword fight's actually, like, really intense, and it's actually, like, very well done. Yeah. And there's even, like, cool little bits where, like, they kind of have a little break and then all the smoke fills the screen. And then you just hear the swords clashing and you see the kind of flashes of the metal and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is really artfully done. I'm enjoying this. And, it's apparently a lot of the action was filmed. Like, they would just film live action actors and then animate to that.
They rotoscoped over it, kind of.
Yeah.
That's why it looks great.
And yeah, they just had a full. The music gets really intense, and it actually is like, oh, this is actually like a very exciting climactic battle between these two guys. I mean, I thought it was very
And
well
quite
done.
small for this movie, quite low key.
Yeah, I guess they're just like, there's not much bigger we can get like than.
Oh man, yeah. So it really was that. I guess then what happens next? Though they have this fight, they succeed in getting the time machine thing back going.
Yeah, oh, there is the defeat of the Joker, which is the thing is that final fight's great, and then it takes a weird turn where you think he stabbed Batman, but it turns out it wasn't Batman. It was a double.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. That was weird as shit. Because his name.
That's never really
Just to convolute things.
Yeah, it's never really properly explained. It's like, was he made of bats, or was he made of?
It's his ninja skill. It's his.
Who even can question at this point? You just have to roll with it by that one.
This bit where he's just sort of flying around is like, are the bats making up a cape, and are they kind of clinging to him and making him fly, or what is happening? Like it's just like it's already gone insane. This is the point of this sheer mania now, where you're like, oh, yeah, whatever. I'll take whatever it is you're giving me. And but yeah, then they do have, when we dealt with the Joker, the Jack Nicholson Joker's death, we noted that the Joker's his greatest enemy always seems to be gravity. And once again, Batman throws him off the roof. And then pretty much just the ending of The Dark Knight. He throws him off. The Joker has this kind of like, oh, I'm victorious because of you.
Yeah, you killed me. Yeah, you did it.
And then he throws out the little thing, and it gets him.
The grappling hook. Yeah.
And he catches the Joker, and it's like, yeah, that's the end of The Dark Knight. Like, you can't really hide that one. It was a pretty big movie when it came out. Still, it looks cool, so I'll give him that, but still.
Yeah. And I did think for a second, maybe he will kill the Joker in this one.
Yep. And then time machine thing happens, and they end up back in the present. And Catwoman's got her sexy motorcycle, which of course they have to do those great motorcycle shots of her ass.
Why not?
Because that's she's brought herself one vase. Like that's the thing she brought from the past. Like, oh, luckily I have this one vase.
Like the hardest thing to smuggle back, surely.
Yeah. Couldn't you take in a piece of jade or some, something like some scroll? Nope.
Or it's
not this giant thing.
There's not many pockets in that catsuit either. It's just like, there's not much space to hold anything in there, really.
Yeah, to be honest, it's not the most practical cat burglar thing. Where does she put the stuff she's stealing? It's very skin tight.
But and yeah, we do get one final scene, like a little kind of joke. I think it actually features the worst bit of animation, and I'm fairly certain it's just reused animation from earlier. Of like when Bruce's face when he's got the mask off, he looks like the most gormless, idiotic kind of like, what? It just really, I don't know, because the rest of most of the animation's so great, but in that final little bit, they have a very baffling joke of. Alfred's like, well, you're going to have to... Apparently, he was scheduled... I guess they came back to the same day that they originally left at. And Alfred's like, well, you have to go to some soiree tonight. So here's your tux. And Bruce is like, oh, yeah, so is the car ready? And then Alfred's like, oh, but it's a bit vintage, sir. And it's like... The thing is, it's the horses. It's a whole little sort of horse-drawn cart thing from Japan. And it doesn't make any sense because at the end... It kind of suits our purposes because you get a little nod to the 89 movie because they're coming down and they bump into this car that's blatantly the Joker car from the Tim Burton films.
I loved that. I lost my mind again.
But the thing is, it's supposed to be Bruce Wayne in there, but he's got like 1 million cars. Why is he driving this thing? And then 2, if he is driving it, why is it still covered in bat symbols? Like, it's got the Batman symbol everywhere. Surely everyone will be like, well, it's Bruce Wayne. Why is he driving a Batman... horse-drawn cart? Like, what?
That's an excellent point. I hadn't thought about that. What the hell?
Plus, then they bump into that car, and then it's like you just damaged that car. And like, are we to believe that is the Joker's actual car? And he was just like, oh yeah, that's his car. Go and ding it. Or is it just some innocent guy's car that he's like, oh yeah, just right? And not even Batman in his usual. There's bits in The Dark Knight where he's like zooming through on the bat pod and it's like taking off mirrors and stuff. And you're like, oh, he's vandal. He's blowing up friggin' people's cars and stuff in that movie that are just in his way. But this one makes it seem as if like just Bruce Wayne himself goes around banging into cars whenever he wants to.
Why not? He's Bruce Wayne. That's what you do when you're rich, right?
Yeah, you just see like reaching into his pocket and throwing out a bunch of bills or something behind him. It's like, I'll take care of that.
Yeah, like what's that book called? A Tale of Two Cities. Like, yeah, sorry I ran over your baby. Here's some money. Carry on, driver.
But yeah, and then that's kind of that's the end of the movie, and it's like yeah, that was Batman Ninja. So
what a movie is what Jesus. I know we've like nitpicked it because that's the whole point of these podcasts. But let me just say, every listener, if you've not watched it, you've listened to this and you think, oh well, I won't watch it now. No, do watch it because we haven't even begun to talk about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much.
Relentlessly
There's so much.
crazy. It's fantastic. It's insane.
There is like I can't even. Like, I really can't explain how much crazy there is in this movie. I wouldn't call it a good movie, like in terms of like a movie that is good, but I would say that it's enjoyable. Watch it with some friends. Watch it with some beer. Watch it with some edibles.
I'll condone it. Yeah. I'll allow that. That's fine.
I thought it was a good movie though. I enjoyed the hell out of it. So
I would say it's an enjoyable movie, but I wouldn't say it's like coherent.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like Casablanca or anything. It's like it's its own entity.
It does whatever it wants, and you have to kind of give it credit for like it's just a movie that did not give a.
And it is very similar to Casablanca in many ways.
Much like Barbed Wire, it is virtually a remake of Casablanca.
I am a huge fan of Barbed Wire. Can I just say that? I love Barbed Wire.
Yeah, I forget that Barbed Wire technically is that.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god, that is such a cheese fest.
Barbed Wire Minute coming soon.
Yeah. I will also say too that there's like one line of dialogue in this film that I have been quoting incessantly since I watched it. So if
only one.
There's a bit very early on. Like, it's after the Joker's first fight with Batman, and Batman kind of he does the little glide thing away and just gets away, and Harley's like, "Oh, should we take off after him?" And the Joker just says, I don't know why it stuck with me so much, but he just goes like, "We have people. Let's just enjoy the moonlight." And he's like drinking water from a dish.
Oh yeah. I thought that was sake from a sake dish.
Oh,
drinking booze.
That's almost definitely what it is.
That's sake from a sake dish. That is not water.
But
like I love my sake, but I've never drank it from something like that.
Yeah, it's an epic sake cup, but that's what it was.
Yeah. I know my sake cups are like the size of coins.
That's a sake,
they're tiny
like a
little
sake saucer.
Yeah, a bowl.
But yeah, it was just like. I don't know why. I think it's instantly dismissive manner of like, we have people. It's kind of like this is always your failing, Joker. It's like you could go straight after him and kill him. But like, no, it'll be fine. And it's like it wasn't fine. It was never fine at the end. You ended up.
You've got to stick to the evil etiquette.
Yeah. No, well. But yeah, that was Batman Ninja.
Whew, bloody hell! What a ride!
Yeah, I think it's taken us the length of the movie to describe the movie. So
basically, this is as long as the damn film. Yeah.
Which is only slightly longer than some of our normal Batman episodes. So.
Yes, but it's a special. It's a hiatus episode. Damn it, we can go as long as we want.
Yeah.
And if you did enjoy this, which I'm sure you did if you enjoyed our main show, god damn, we will be back with more hiatus episodes. Ooh, mysteries. What will they be?
And I suppose like Stephanie, I know you've got some stuff in the works. If you can feel free to plug now.
Well, the best way of finding me is through my YouTube channel. I am Caffine Jedi, Caffine Jedi, and I do comic books, and I'm still working on that. I'm still working on a bunch of stuff. My plan is to go to Cannes and convince somebody to give me money, so I can work on more stuff. Like, all right, let's find one of these. You guys also, I've invited these two, but they haven't done it yet. You guys are supposed to come on my channel, on YouTube channel, and we should do a live stream. I said that the topic is supposed to be our childhood heroes that have totally let us down as now we're adults. And we could think of, I think, a lot of people. That's the topic. So you guys can start thinking about it. And if any of your listeners want to come on, they can watch us have a long discussion.
We'll let you know when we're on that. And of course, as you know, we're also on Twitter. Send us a tweet at BatMinute89, which we are still calling it, at least for now. We may rebrand the show just as BatMinute because it might be easier. But for now, it's BatMinute89. It's just simpler. We can't be bothered.
Yeah, and of course, a couple more hiatus episodes coming, and I'm sure, Stephanie, you'll be back at some point when we do
for sure
Batman Returns. So get working on your Chris Walken impression.
I'm busy sewing my Catwoman outfit. I like the way people probably think I'm joking.
Can you make it out of one leather jacket?
I can try.
Oh, save it.
I'll give it my best shot.
But yeah, anywho, thanks to everyone for tuning in again, and we'll see you soon at some point. Well, not see you, but audibly talk to you, and then you'll hopefully listen. So,
yes, see you soon, Backlan.